What's going on, everybody? It is Ethan Uncoder, and welcome back to episode 31 of Let's Build Twitter. In this episode, we're going to go ahead and wrap up the logic for our text input and go ahead and get those on the screen. That way we can take in that first name and last name and also use the Redux to store the information about the user and use it in other places. So let's go ahead and hop into VS Code. Let's get right into this. So now what we need to do is go into our validated or determine values, and we're going to make a new method or function, export const, and this is going to be determine validated text label. And this is going to be very simple. It's going to be active colon boolean and then valid colon boolean. This is going to return a string like so. And we'll say if not valid and active, this will return error. If we are valid and we are active, return blue. Otherwise, return gray. And this is a very simplified way of doing the text label. Before, we were doing all of this stuff. We don't have to do all this stuff anymore. So now we'll go ahead and update our prop or update our entire thing again. So I think that maybe I was supposed to do this beforehand. I didn't quite copy over everything correctly. But we're going to go ahead and interface. We're going to have a validated, this is just going to be validated text input props, and we're going to have a valid boolean. We're going to have a name string. We're going to have a label string, and we're going to have a change value method. It's going to take in an e react dot change event from an input element. And this is just going to return void. So this is a very simplified version of the props that we had previously. This is going to be validated text props, and we are going to go ahead and say valid name label and change value. So now what we can do is update some of these. So now label will be label, valid will be valid, and valid will be valid. And we need name equal to name. That's important. So those are all good. We can go ahead and inside of our use effect, we can go ahead and set the color. So we can say we're going to watch valid here. And we are going to say set color equal to determine validated text label. We'll have our border active and we'll have our valid that will pass in. That will set the color of the label. And I believe that's all we need to do now. We obviously need to test this. So we're going to take this and put it inside the register name input. So now what we need to do is we need to go ahead and make a new component inside the register. So new folder, it's going to be called register name input. We're going to kind of group together our name inputs. We're going to go ahead and make a new file called register name input.tsx. Get rid of this. So let's go ahead and import const or import React from React. We'll probably need a couple other things, but let's go ahead and just export const register input. This is supposed to be an S, so let's rename this to register name inputs because there are multiple inputs in here. All right, register name inputs is going to be a react.fc equal to this, and we're good to go. Return our div, and this is going to be register dash name dash input Voila. So now what we want to go ahead and do is import our validated text input. And this is going to say valid equal to true. This is going to say name equal to first name. This is going to say label equal to first. Let me change this to first name. And then finally, our change value is going to equal to nothing for the time being. All right, so there is our first validated input. We're going to grab another one for last name. Let's grab that, copy, paste. True is fine. This will be last name. This will say last, and that is fine as well. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up our register name inputs here. So we're going to go ahead and grab use dispatch. So go ahead and say import use dispatch from React Redux. And we'll go ahead and use that. So we'll go ahead. We also need use state. And we probably also we do not need use effect. So first we'll say const first valid. First valid. And set first valid. Equal to use state. Boolean. And true. And then const last valid, set last valid is equal to use state, Boolean, true. So by default, we'll start these out not being read. We'll get our dispatch, app dispatch. From there, equal to use dispatch, like so. That way we can actually dispatch some events. And finally, our change value is going to be this const update name function. This is going to take in that react dot change event in HTML input element, like so. It's going to return void. Let's set up this function. So we'll console. We don't need the console.log. It should work. If e.target.name is equal to first name, we are going to do a couple things. We're going to say dispatch. We're going to dispatch update register. And it's going to have the name is e.target.name and value is :e.target.value. We're going to dispatch that. We need to import the update register from slice register slice. So we're going to dispatch that change. We're going to check to see if it's valid. So we'll say let valid equal to validate name. This is going to come from our services, and then we're going to pass in the e.target.value to make sure that it's a valid name. We'll go ahead and set valid, set first valid, and we'll say valid. And make sure we spell first valid right. And then we will say dispatch. And I suppose we probably could have done this. No, we can't because of the way dispatch works. So that's why I do it twice. Dispatch. If we would have sent the entire object, it would have been a little bit better. But I wanted to make it a little bit simpler. So update register once again. Name is going to be first name valid, and we're going to pass the value equal to valid. And we're not passing the first or last valid. We're passing this valid Boolean because it it's not really asynchronous, so it's a little bit jank if you don't do it this way. Now finally, the second one will pretty much be the same. Copy and paste. If it's last name, we're going to pass this, except this time it's going to be last name valid. Like so. We want to set last valid like so, and that is good to go. So now inside change value, we're going to pass in update name and update name and save. And inside of our registered date input, or not, I'm sorry, get rid of that. Inside of our validated text input, we want to go ahead and call the change value. That way it sends it to the dispatch, and we'll go ahead and pass that E along. So now theoretically, all we gotta do is go back into our register form 1 and add this in here. So now instead of using this these two validated inputs, we're going to say register name inputs. It shouldn't take any values or anything. This is scuffed. Fix it. Save. It should still look the same. The CSS is slightly off. We can fix that. It's not that big of a deal. So let's go ahead and make sure that this is working. So if we go into our console, if we type in here, say F, blah, 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 we delete, it should go red. Oh, something isn't quite working. Let me double check. But it looks like our first name is updating. So first name, df, valid, true. If we delete, it shouldn't say valid anymore. So valid, false. Okay, so first name valid is in fact false like it's supposed to be. So something isn't quite updating. It's not that validator. So it's going to be in here. Valid needs to be first valid and last valid. Save. Let's try again. Now you see that it's red. So if we type in here, this is all good. Delete, it goes to red. Delete, it goes to red. And if we look in here, you're going to see, hey, first name is valid, last name is not valid. So now we are ready to do the last part, which is setting up the email. Should also probably fix the CSS soon, but we can get to that later. So let's go ahead and we will figure out the email next. Unfortunately, that's going to be it for today. If you guys enjoyed, please stick around for the next episode by hitting that subscribe button. You'll know exactly when it comes out, especially at that bell icon. If you did enjoy the content today, please sure to leave a thumbs up. If you did enjoy it, leave a thumbs down. Either way, it helps out with the algorithm all the same. And finally, if you have any suggestions or feedback for me, make sure you leave a comment down below. With that being said, I appreciate you all for watching. Stay tuned for the next episode. Peace out, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.